Hello, my Teaserking family. How's everybody today? My back is hurting a little bit, and it's weird. It just started to hurt when I sat down in this chair. So I probably got to get a new chair. It's right on my bottom. I did some stretches, got some medication, so it was better. I woke up fine, and I was able to walk. And then as soon as I sit down, boom. Anyway, so I got to end this at about 1:45 today. I do have an appointment at 2. Then I can come on after, depending on how we do. So it gives us a few hours now, so we should be fine. Anyway, so we got Tom Brady retired. Let's see what we got in the line. We've got Superbowl line. We got Philly 1.5, 50.5. Philly a bunch of 1.5s, and the total a bunch of 50.5. So it really hasn't changed, but it's a little early as all these sharps come in at the end to make the bets. Let's see what gold and silver's doing. So we know that, what did we know? That the Fed raised the rates 0.25%, which we're like, okay, do we care? Not really, because it's already factored in. They're going to keep raising rates till they break the system. So we will say. Gold price today. It's like even again, down a few dollars. So it was apparently at 1959, and then, at 10 o'clock. So it says it's down 30, but I don't agree. Well, the other one had down 5. So let's see, it's at 1959, and then, look, at 10 o'clock, it goes all the way down to 1919, and then it starts going back to 1926, and now it's dipping. So if you wait till 10 o'clock, and it's 1919, and then you buy, you get a 26. Now it's coming down, and it'll go back up. Again, this is the price fixing in the derivative. The 1919 was the derivative price, which is why all the way down to there. This is why it's not a real price. This is why it's all bullshit by JP Morgan and Comex and London. The same thing at 10 o'clock I keep showing you. Silver, I don't think is volatile. Yeah, it's 23.71. So silver really hasn't done anything. But gold, you can see how fake it is, because the demand that pushed it into 1960, what would be the reason to go to 1919? Only a JP Morgan reason. So that's what's happening. So again, that's why the whole thing's phony. And that's why I talk about the derivative so much, because it's not real. Nobody was selling gold. And then we have the Dow at 33,000, which again, that's about to go to 0. So we will see. This is my point. Because of my background, I'm an INFJ personality. It means I'm very inquisitive and very psychic. I use a lot of intuition, and so that's why I do so well in football, because I look into the numbers. I look at the analytical part of it, and I go, what's going on and why is it going on? And that's what I do so well. Excuse me, it's 11:30, time to eat. Which is what separates me from most people in this type of environment. Excuse me. So that's what separates me, is I see gold at 10 o'clock every day going, there's a pattern. I do the same with football. I do the same with poker. Poker, you're looking at patterns for the people, right? This guy keeps betting. Hey, Greg and John. This guy keeps betting. He keeps doing the same bet, right? Pre-flop, will bet $20 every time, or $8. I'm at a 1-2 table, so he bets $7 pre-flop every hand. Well, he doesn't have a hand every hand. Maybe he's got an ace or a king. I don't know his strategy because there's only $3 in the pot. He's trying to build a pot, but does he have a hand, or he's just hoping to get a hand and then he can win a big pot, I guess. But you watch the pattern. Does he do it every time? Does he do it with aces? And does he ever fold his hand? And then you're trying to get a read on it. Well, the same thing in football and the same thing in with economics. So we see the gold price at 10 o'clock every day go down. We know it's not real. Who's selling gold now at 1950? It goes to 1919? What is that? That's the biggest bunch of crap. We think football's fixed. Well, we know gold's fixed. Gold makes football look like it's not fixed. Anyway, it's amazing how people don't understand but don't want to learn. So I've been doing research on my personality type. And a lot of people are afraid to get out of their comfort zone. So if I tell somebody to buy gold or silver and they're not comfortable at it because they don't understand it, they won't listen. They don't want to do it just because they're uncomfortable. It's just extremely bizarre that people are so afraid that they won't listen, And then I come across, or if it's 2 and 2 is 4, I'll know it's 4 and I'll make a comment like I do with some football games. I won't be swayed once I know 2 and 2 is 4, but I can be swayed before I know 2 and 2 is 4. Meaning once I say, hey, I like Cincinnati over Buffalo, unless Burrow or Chase gets injured, I'm playing Cincinnati and you're not going to talk me out of it. But that's after I've come to the conclusion Cincinnati is a good dog, which is what I did. So that's really the difference, is once I kind of do the math and figure it out, I get it. That's why I don't really flip-flop. I won't like Cincinnati and then like Buffalo, but like now. So let's take the Super Bowl. Philly KC, Philly 1.5, 50.5. I haven't made up my mind yet. So not that I can be swayed, but if you came up with this or that argument, it could move me into a certain direction. Right now, the only direction I know is I like the game over because I've seen Philly against good quarterbacks play really high-scoring games. I think against Mahomes will score you 20 points, so I think forces Philly to score 30 points. What Philly's been doing, like they put up 31-7 on Frisco, but Frisco lost their quarterback. And so Philly didn't need to score anymore. So once they got to 28-7, they kicked a field goal, 31-7. They didn't really try for more points. But if Frisco were to score 20, so I don't really have it. I got Philly and the Giants, and the same 8-7. They didn't score. KC will score on them because neither of the teams had good defense, had good quarterbacks. Well, we know Mahomes, Ric Flair, who's basically faking the injury. I'm sure he's injured to a point, but he's not even on the injury list now. I don't think it was a high ankle sprain, as they said, or as severe or in this spot. I think it was something similar to it, but not the same, because he couldn't do what he did. If it was really a high ankle sprain and you're off 6 weeks, that's a whole different story. But this is not what – I don't think he's got that injury. Maybe he sprained his ankle, but he moved around way too much. And then the last dive he wouldn't have done so. So therefore, I don't really believe he has a high ankle sprain. Let's say that. Let's say he hurt his foot, but it's not as painful as we think, or it's not as serious as they say. like they don't lie. They never lie about injuries. Oh my God. And then so we'll see. But we saw, what did we see? We saw Cam Rising with the ankle, or Bo Nix with the ankle. One of those guys in the Pac-10 hurt his ankle, and I think it was Bo Nix, and he still played with the hurt ankle. But the following week, he was fine. So it was like a sprained ankle that lasted a week, and I think that's what Mahomes has, because he's not even on the injured list. So you can't play Mahomes as this high ankle sprain. He's injured. I think it's a sprained ankle, which is pretty much healed, and you're basically getting 95% Mahomes. So you've got to look at that in the bet. So I think he scores a lot. That puts up 20. Even if Philly blitzes him, as you saw Cincinnati, he kind of gets out of it. He kind of throws it in the ground. They have little screens set up. He has little outlet guys that if the pressure's on, he just dumps it to the backs. So I think they're prepared for Philly's blitz. I don't think you can blitz them and get 20 sacks on the guy like they could on Daniel Jones or obviously Frisco, which was a joke once they knew the quarterback was out. So I see Kansas City. So here's how I'm breaking it down. I see Kansas City play close games. They play Buffalo. They play Cincinnati. They beat Cincinnati by 3. They lose Cincinnati by 3. They lose to Buffalo by 4. They kill Green Bay. They kill Minnesota. They kill San Francisco. Now, San Francisco still had the good defense, even though they had their Garoppolo. Now, I don't know what's happening with Brock Purdy, because I'm hearing he might need Tommy John injury or surgery or something, which I've never heard in a football player, only in baseball players. I don't know what his injury is. And the bozo's on the radio going, well, this is why Trey Lance, they traded up for him. He was the 3rd pick. He'll be the starter. I'm like, what does Trey Lance show you that would make him even make the team? So they get rid of Garoppolo because now they have Purdy. How injured? I've never heard. Bradshaw hurt his elbow. I think Montana hurt his. I don't recall him getting Tommy John surgery. Now they missed some time, but I don't know. So I don't know the injury of Purdy, but he's my starter if he's healthy, not Trey Lance. Trey Lance can't do half the stuff Purdy did. So if you're going to start Trey Lance, you need a new GM. Why you drafted him in the first place, you need a new GM. He didn't do anything that would tell me to do. It was like Josh Rosen at least played at UCLA. Darnold sucked, but you drafted him in the top 4. So at least Mayfield showed me something at Oklahoma. He went to Ohio State and won the game. And, okay, I'm going to get the guy from that. And I don't mind Mayfield that much. But what did Trey Lance do in college? Nothing. He had 1 year as a freshman against Division II. And then so he's playing against teams without any pros on him. And then he sits out the COVID year. And so 1 year, you drafted him number 3 because he's fast. And we see how running quarterbacks, we got Mahomes and Hurts. But Philly's not in there because of Hurts running or, throwing the ball or running. He just hands off to the running backs and he makes some decent passes. So he's really not that. He's a good passer, I think, which I doubted, but maybe he's getting better. But you don't win with running quarterbacks per se. Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick, none of those guys ever won because you need to throw. You need balance. You need to throw the ball to the receivers and run it, as we know. So I don't know what's going on in Frisco, but they got the killer defense and they got McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. It's a waste of time if you're going with Trey Lance if you can't throw the ball. Of course, these idiots think Dak Prescott's good. So I don't know. This is why I don't listen to the radio. I don't want to get misinformation where I think it's, they're saying something and they're right. They're just talking out of their ears. They don't know what the hell they're saying. So with that said, we look at Philly, KC. We look at Philly, good balanced offense. They will score on KC, who doesn't have a great defense. Since he got 20 on them, so Philly's definitely in the upper 20s, and then KC got 23 on a good Cincinnati defense. Jacksonville doesn't have a great defense, so they beat San Diego 27-24 twice, put up in the 20s on Denver's defense. Oakland doesn't have a defense, but those were high-scoring games. Oakland has a running attack with Jacobs, but KC win. KC is just very hard to defend with Kelsey getting open and Valdez-Scantling. You got to – if you don't double team him, he looks like he's playing much better. Thinks he's at Green Bay. Smith-Schuster, well, I'm sure he'll play. And then you got, decent running back and another tight end. I mean, he'll be fine, Mahomes. So he'll find in the 20s. So this definitely should be like a 27-24 approximately. Maybe Philly gets into the 30s. And then, 31-27, somewhere in that neighborhood. I think you get way over 44, which is a teaser line, 50 down to 44. And then the question is, do I take Philly in 4.5 or KC in 7.5? And as I said, KC plays close games. I have not seen KC getting blown out anywhere. And again, they beat the Niners big. They beat San Diego twice. They beat Oakland twice. They beat Cincinnati once and lost by 3, and lost to Buffalo by 4 with Von Miller. So it's not like they haven't seen a Von Miller type, and it's not like, so they'll be in the 20s. It's the Super Bowl. So there tends to be more scoring because the teams get a little more like they're not going to sit on it. We'll keep scoring. And I think with Mahomes, now that he's really not that injured or very slightly injured, he'll move around enough that he'll get, he'll put up at least 24 on it. So let's say 31-24. So that's the question. You're going to get a close game with Kansas City, win or lose one of these field goal games, or is Philly going to run away with it? And again, 40-33 against Green Bay. They lost 40-34 with the backup, but still Minshew puts up 34. I don't think Hurts is going to do much better than that. I don't think they lost because of that. 40-34. So 74 points, 6-point game with Dallas losing. They beat Minnesota, but Kirk Cousins, and then they beat the Lions by 3. And that was very high-scoring games, but then they played the Giants 3 times with no offense, no quarterback. Washington, no quarterback, God knows. So they have a pretty easy schedule. They split with Dallas. And so, they're blowing out the Giants, but then you can't count the blowout against the Niners with the backup quarterback, which is the point. So with the backup quarterback, you've got to just throw out the Niner game as far as them scoring 7 and a blowout, because now you respect the 31 points. Well, I respect 24 of the points. Well, I respect 17 of the points. The first touchdown was not a touchdown because the guy didn't catch the ball on 4th down. Where was the challenge? And then just before half, Johnson can't catch the snap, which is why he didn't play the second half. You can't catch the snap. You give Philly the ball at the 15-yard line, so they run it in. So really, you don't count those 2. So they got 17, but they probably would have got 24. So does Philly blow out Kansas City is the question. How do you get a blowout? Usually it's the dog. It's like Georgia. They ran it down their throat and got turnovers. You're not going to get turnovers against Kansas City. Mahomes is too accurate. The only type of turnovers is this that goes off of Kelsey's hands into the other guy, but Kelsey will be open to catch it. Is that Alana Martinez? Well, thank you. Nice to see you. You too. Have a great day. I hope you're well and healthy. So that's kind of where I'm at. they don't turn the ball over a lot. So if we go to the Georgia TCU game and we go to the Georgia Ohio State game, what happened? Well, Ohio State was able to run and didn't turn it over, but Georgia at the end won the game. And then we get to Georgia TCU, and they just ran it and got some turnovers and then just kept piling it on. So TCU turned it over because they hadn't seen a defense like Georgia. Ohio State saw Michigan, so they were a little more prepared. Or Michigan TCU was a tease the dog. TCU with a good offense, but when they faced Georgia, they just didn't show up, or too many turnovers, or it's a championship game and it was too much for them. Well, that's not going to be KC's problem. They've been to the Super Bowl twice in 5 years and all the championship games, and they beat Buffalo and they beat Cincy. So seeing Philly, how good is Philly? Unfortunately, it sucks because we wanted to see Philly Frisco fully healthy with Purdy the whole game to see how good each team was. Frisco, we know, has this killer defense. We didn't know what Philly has. We still don't know what Philly has. Keeping Frisco to 7. I mean, they scored 7 with the backup. I don't know what Philly is, but again, seeing them against Green Bay, the Dallas game, the Detroit game, they lost to Washington, shows me they're kind of like Utah and UCLA. They have very good defenses until they play explosive offenses, and they can't stop the explosive offense. I don't see how Philly shuts down Kansas City. Does Kansas City shut down Philly? No, because even if Hurts gets hurt and his shoulder's bothering him, he's handing the ball off most of the time, and I don't see Kansas City really stopping that. And then we're looking at he can throw when he has to. He's got the decent receivers of Smith and Brown, so he's so they are balanced. They can't just go against the run, but even Hurts can run for yardage. I don't see a lot of punting in this game. So definitely over. And then the question is, does Philly do a 31-14 on Kansas City? And I don't think so. They've been in too many games, too many Super Bowls. Now, they did get killed against Tampa, but they had offensive line issues, and Tampa had a real strong defense. So the better defense is Philadelphia in this game. And that's really where I'm having the quandary where, see how my back kind of relaxed now so I can kind of sit. So at first it tightened up. Now it's fine. So the better defense is Philadelphia. The better team is Philadelphia. KC struggles defensively. He's good against the pass because they play, but they do play San Diego and Oakland, who have good running attacks, and they beat them. I don't think Kansas City in this type of game is going to get blown out. So the Tampa game was just simply Brady picked them apart, and their defense blitzed Mahomes a lot, and they didn't have offensive linemen. So there was nothing Mahomes could do. Well, they got offensive linemen. So where Philly will blitz, I think Mahomes will be able to move around and will be able to, I think they'll be more prepared for Philly's blitz than Tampa just got them. But generally, KC does not get blown out, and they play, they played Von Miller. So I think because the offensive linemen are good, I'm leaning that the score will be close, but I'm still zeroing in on it. So that's really the key is Philly's defense with all the sacks and the good cornerbacks going against Mahomes, who's not really a big running. They're going to throw it, and what are they going to do? Now, we saw Cincinnati. It was 13-6 at half, and then it's 20-20. They only scored 7 points in the second half against Cincy, which they did the prior year. I'd be more comfortable with Cincinnati getting 7.5. I'll tell you that with Joe Burrow. But anyway, with that said, that's really the thought that I'm trying to figure out. Does Philly smother them defensively, which is not normal for Mahomes? He can normally find a way. Or does Cincy able to move the ball with the quick passes and the Kelsey and able to, are they able to do that? And that's really the question that I'm trying to figure out. So that's what I do in my analytical brain, is figure out the game. And Philly, I've struggled with each game because I didn't love them against the Giants, but figuring with all the sacks, Jones wasn't going to do anything, which he didn't. Then against Frisco, I took the under. I didn't fuck with Frisco in 8.5. I just let the game go. I just said it'll be low scoring with the defenses, which it was. I would have rather have saw Purdy play than I could really get a grip. So I really don't know Philadelphia. They lost to Dallas 40-34. They lost to New Orleans. Then they beat the Giants by 6, and the Giants don't even try. And now Philly turns it up in the playoffs again at home. They're not going to be at home. How good are they? And I've been struggling with this. I looked at their schedule as a terribly weak schedule. Even Green Bay wasn't Green Bay this year. They were an 8-win team. So they beat an 8-win team with a good quarterback, 40-33. So they didn't really blow them out. And they lost to Dallas again with Prescott. The first game they beat Dallas with Rush. And then they beat the Lions 38-35. So the Lions were able to score 35 on them. Granted, it was the opening week, so we discount that because they weren't in condition yet. But the rest of their games, Washington twice, the Giants 3 times. We talked Dallas, and then just going down to Houston and the Houston, Jacksonville, Indy, and Tennessee section. So you don't learn anything there. They beat Houston, Indy, and I think they lost to Indy. They beat Houston, and they beat Jacksonville, and they beat Tennessee. So you don't learn. I mean, so what? 2, 4, 6, 9, 10 of their games was against nobody, and they beat the Lions in week 1, and then Green Bay and Minnesota they had. So they beat Minnesota, and then Green Bay was 40-33. So you got to kind of think it's going to be like the Green Bay game. Because Green Bay doesn't have a good defense. And they got Aaron Rodgers. They couldn't really stop Aaron Rodgers. So when I start looking at team personality, which is what I do, that's what I see, right? I see how did they play similar teams. So you got Mahomes, so Aaron Rodgers check box. Kirk Cousins, not in his class. Prescott, not in his class, and he beat him. Wentz or whoever for Washington puts up 31. It was probably not Wentz. It was probably the other guy. Frisco with the backup, you can't read. Purdy was 4 for 4 for 40 yards, whatever that's worth. So I would think Mahomes can do the same thing, right? He can see what Purdy did. The difference is McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel on San Francisco. So Philly had to play a little bit different. How do they play KC? Are they going to they don't have that running back like McCaffrey. So he got you the touchdown with a great run, but KC doesn't have that. Pacheco, I mean, come on, he went to Rutgers? Seriously? So you don't really have that with KC. Taco DeClaire would help if he was – now he might play. God knows he's been questionable the last 3 weeks. This is the Super Bowl, but I think he broke his ankle, and you either can run on it and cut on it or you can't. Now, we do know what Terrell Owens played for Philly in the Super Bowl against New England with a broken ankle, and it was screwed in or whatever, and he did play. So we'll talk with the play, and then how healthy and what's his win like. So we'll see all that. Otherwise, it's a very – KC doesn't get blown out. And, again, they had a harder schedule. 2 San Diegos, 2 Oaklands, 2 Denvers, Buffalo, 2 Cincinnatis. And they just blow you out. I mean, to me, Philly's offense and San Diego's are very, very similar. Good quarterback who can run, good running back, and 2 good receivers. So it's not like they've never seen this offense. So it becomes the defense. And what defense in the AFC? Denver, okay, and they did well. San Diego, when Bosa's playing, Oakland doesn't have a defense. Your next defense in the AFL or AFC, Yeah, San Diego's a 25. Jacksonville's a 21. Buffalo is an 18. They scored 20. So Buffalo is probably comparable to Philly with Von Miller was 24-20. So they didn't have a problem against Buffalo scoring. And so Buffalo is probably the most similar team that to Philly that KC would have played. So they didn't have trouble. So in other words, what I'm getting at is what you want to know is, can Kansas City win this game? That's what this comes down to. I don't want 7.5 unless my team can win the game. Do I feel the game's even? Tease the dog. And I don't. I think Philly's a little bit better. And it's really, can KC stay close? Can they win it? I don't know, but can they stay close? They shouldn't have beat Cincinnati. There was terrible reffing, as we know. It was a fixed game. Are they going to fix this game? Do they want Mahomes to win the Super Bowl? And are they going to fix it, not call holding penalties and call dives? And Philly, what are they going to call? 8 holding penalties on Philly and pass interference on Darius Slay and roughing the pass. You watch the roughing the passer get called this week. So the only way Philly really loses is the refs calling all these ridiculous penalties. So will KC – is the game even? Can KC win? If KC we don't think can win, I can't play the dog. I don't play the dog to stay close, right? Cincinnati, I thought, would beat Kansas City. I thought Cincy would beat Buffalo. If they did, I took Frisco because I didn't think Dallas could win, and Frisco won. I didn't play the Jacksonville KC game. I played it over. Dallas Tampa, I certainly thought Brady at home could win it. I took Cincy because I thought they'd beat Baltimore. I played the over in the Giant mini game because I thought it would be high scoring, which it was. I took San Diego. I didn't think Jacksonville could win, but because the line was low, I won, and I had Frisco over Seattle. I didn't think Seattle could win. So you're basically picking the winner. The only game that fooled me was with Skylar Thompson. I figured there was no way Miami could win, but the line was 13. So it was a very tiny play, and that's where you get into teaser, how to bet teasers. I can't play the Buffalo minus 13 game like I played the Cincinnati-Baltimore game, right? I didn't the lock the first week was San Diego and Cincinnati. So I played it for a lot more, and I won it. But the Buffalo game against Miami, I played it very, very small. Probably shouldn't have played it. If I'm going to play it small, I probably shouldn't play it. But there was no way I thought Miami could win. And Buffalo was up 10 and then gave them a late touchdown. But that showed me Buffalo's defense sucked, which then led me to play Cincinnati. And everybody's on Buffalo. And I'm like, but the defense sucks. Nobody cared. Well, Burrow and Chase were there. Yeah, the lineman route, but it's the NFL. And they need to cut number 77 who can't block, they can't block a 90-year-old woman. So do I think Kansas City can beat Philly? Now, I'm skewed right now because I'm seeing Philly at home dismantle the Giants and Frisco. Then I got to underline it by saying Frisco's 4th-string quarterback, so really doesn't count. And against the Giants was Daniel Jones, he's not a quarterback either. So really they didn't beat a good quarterback. So you've got to kind of ignore the 2 games in Philly where they killed their opponents because they didn't have a quarterback, and now they get Mahomes. So then you try to go to Philly against Mahomes, which the only thing I got is Rodgers and Prescott, and they didn't really play a good quarterback. So then it becomes, what do you do with it? And that's really what the problem is. But when I see Mahomes, so can Kansas City win the game? I think if the game, I think they're going to have a hard time winning the game, but I think it'll be a 3-point game. So this is a weird situation where I think it'll be close, but I don't know if KC can win it because if Philly gets the late sack, they can run the ball if they got a lead. Is KC going to be clean? You got 77 sacks by Philly. Mahomes is not. He's going to get sacked. Since he sacked him, though, and that turned out. So it's not like he's not sacked, and it's not like he's going to get sacked all that much, and he'll work out plays where he hits the the running back out of the backfield. He dumps the ball. He runs. So it's not really, like they're just going to blitz. He's just going to stand there like Johnson on San Francisco and get blitzed. It's not going to be the same thing. And since he had a pretty good rush on him sometimes. So that's really what you got to struggle with. So I think KC keeps it close. I think it's like a 30-27 game. So I think Philly gets in the 30s because KC doesn't have a good defense against the run. And so when they get in the red zone, Philly's going to score touchdowns. So they're going to run it in. And KC, he's going to hit Kelsey. But, if I'm Philly, I got Slay on Kelsey. He's my best cornerback. He's guarding Kelsey. That's it. So that's what you have here. So I'm still trying to figure, can KC, can they win? And I don't think they can win, but I think it can go 30-27. I think they're down 10, they can score the touchdown and get down 3, as they shown you against Buffalo last year, as they showed you. Cincinnati, they didn't really show you. They were up 13-6, 13-all, 20-13, 20-20. They didn't really come back against Jacksonville. That wasn't even that was a joke game. So beating Cincinnati allows me that they can beat Philly because they were a very similar team. Burrow, the best quarterback, and Chase, the best receiver. And, Chase made an incredible play. So I just don't know what you have with in the game that leads you to believe Philly's going to blow them out unless Mahomes gets hurt, and then they got to go to Chad Henne. So if Mahomes plays, which he will, I think this will be a close game. I don't think KC can win it because Philly can run it in the red zone and score touchdowns, and KC, good kicker. They can score. So it's definitely an over. If I just had one play, it would be over. It'll be definitely in the 50s, and in a teaser world, we're 44. So that's definitely going over. But because it's teaser world, so I either go over 50 and not tease it, or I tease it and it's 44, and then it's, do I want Philly in 4.5 or KC in 7.5? I normally lean toward the dog in this type of game because it's not Philly playing the Giants where they're going to win. It's Philly playing KC where you think they're going to win, but you're dealing with Mahomes. And I'm not afraid of Andy Reid. He's the biggest choke there is. Except for Marv Levy of Buffalo. He's a pretty big choke too. So Reid doesn't scare me. It's Mahomes and Kelsey who seem to do that. Philly should play a man-on-man. If they play a zone, they'll get eaten up. But that's really my point with this is is it an automatic Philly win? And it's not. You've got a good KC, Mahomes. They've been in the Super Bowl twice. So I think this game goes down to more of an even. Now, if KC goes favored, then we jump on Philly because I think Philly is the better team here. And I think offense, defense, they're a better team. If they were the dog, then it would be an easy take Philly in 7.5. So let's wait and see if we get that. If we get it, then that's your play, the dog Philly with the over. However, if it stays 1.5 or even goes to 2.5, we'd probably have to take KC. Do we want Philly in 4.5? You would think it would win because even if KC wins, they're not going to blow them out. Because they were really okay. So they put a little pressure on. Hurts throws 2 or 3 interceptions. I hate when I have to sneeze in the middle of a swallow. Why does that happen? You just put something in your mouth. You're just about to swallow. Here comes the sneeze. So what you have is you'd rather have Philly as the dog, but they're not. But it's such a small favorite. They're saying the betting's even, not the game's even. So the professor's thinking, and everything I come up with, it'll be a close game because KC played Buffalo and Cincy twice, who are easily as good as, well, and they played Buffalo, Von Miller is playing. So they're easily as good as Philadelphia. How good is Philadelphia? We don't have a clue because you can't look at the playoff games. And therefore, you really don't know. You know they lost to Dallas and New Orleans near the end with the backup quarterback. You know they played Green Bay a 40-33. So really, that's all I got, and the rest was junk. They lost to Washington. So Washington, the Giants without a quarterback, is a bad matchup for the Giants against this defense, and they run the ball well. So they will run the ball very well on them. Kansas City will get their touchdowns. I don't know. I could see Philly, winning between 7 and 10 points very easily. I just don't see KC blowing out Philly. They don't have the defense for it. If you look at the Seattle-Denver game with Peyton Manning against the Legion of Boom, what happens? The defense shuts them down. And most of these big games, Georgia TCU, Georgia, whoever the fuck they played a year ago, the great defense will shut you down. Does Philly have the great defense? Frisco really did at 16. Philly's like a 19 defense, but it didn't show up in all games. So they don't have that really killer defense that I thought Frisco had. So therefore, I don't see them with a blowout because their defense stops Mahomes. I don't think the defense can stop Mahomes. So therefore, this is kind of like a Michigan TCU game where you got the really explosive TCU, Kansas City, against the good Michigan team with the bad quarterback. Philly doesn't have a bad quarterback. He's not great, but he's not bad. And so I think Philly here is a mystery team, basically. Again, Aaron Rodgers lights him for 33, and Prescott lights him for 40. Now, even though Minshew quartered, they still gave up 40 points to Dallas. Yeah, there was a pick six. Well, they picked six to Prescott. I think that happens every game. So I just see that happening. So with Philly, how strong's Hurts? Is he really all that? He is. If I look at Hurts, he's 24-6, his quarterback. And granted, he missed 3 games? He missed the first Dallas game, the New Orleans game, maybe one other one. So 24-6, and he ran for a few touchdowns, another 4 or 5, I think. So I really like the Giants. I really like the Eagles' running attack. I think that's key in the game. Not only does it keep Mahomes on the bench, but I don't think KC can really stop it. But Hurts, as a quarterback, hurts them. So you can key on the running game a little bit more. Any 4th downs, Hurts is going to run and get it. Philly will not punt too often. They'll keep running on 4th down. So I don't know. I don't really. It's got to be high scoring because I don't see KC stopping them. But I'm not sure Philly's going to stop KC, although Philly's loaded defensively. So this is the problem I'm having, is really picking it. I think, judging by schedules, KC and 7.5 is probably second best. The first play would be KC favored. Philly is the dog. That I love. With Philly favored, it's probably KC. Maybe you take Philly in 4.5. Could be a good play. If it goes to even, I would take Philly in 6. Philly in 4.5 probably wins also, but definitely KC in 7.5 is probably good too. In games in Arizona where the dog normally plays well in the desert for some reason there. So that's where I'm at. Philly 10-1 is a road favorite. Again, KC, I got to look at their thing, but I'm sure they don't. As a dog, they don't lose too often. I don't remember in the Super Bowl against Tampa if they were the dog or not. They might have been, especially with all the offensive line. But we saw that with Cincinnati last week. their offensive line really let them down. But they still, it should have went to overtime, right? That wasn't their problem. They probably should have scored more, but that's a 43. So this is definitely higher than a 43. So definitely over. Probably KC and 7.5 is a good number. If it drops to even or KC favor, then we really like Philly. Philly's more complete team in that they have a better offense is equal. Their defense it's only a point or two better. It's a 19. KC's a 22. Jacksonville kind of lit them up for 20 points. And give KC credit. They beat a real good Cincinnati team. So you got to give them credit there. Again, Mahomes' injury, I think he's fine. I don't think it's a high ankle sprain. I think it was an ankle sprain that healed up. That makes sense that he'd be ready to go in a week. And for him to run and take a dive, you can do on a just a sprained ankle, not a high ankle sprain. So that's where I'm at with that. So we like the over. We're not sure on the game yet. We think we're like the dog, but it's not official. And let's see where the line moves. So no reason to bet the game right now. The only reason you'd bet it now is if you thought I like Philly and before it goes to 3, but I'm not sure it's going to 3. Supposedly the Philadelphia money's already hit, which means here comes the KC money. I wouldn't be surprised if by kickoff KC goes to 1.5. Now the thing with me is I'm not influenced by that. So as I say, when the Buffalo game went from 4.5 to 6 over, Buffalo over Cincinnati, I didn't bat an eye. I didn't go, oh my God, we better bet Buffalo. Something's up. The line's moving. No, I predict the game, and then if it moves, great. I get more points. I like that better. Once I like the team, I like it. So if KC goes to a 1-point favorite and then at game time goes to 3, I like Philly more and getting 9 than I did at 7. I don't be contrarian to the point where I'm not fickle to the point where the spread moves. So I'm going to go bet it because the spread moved. No, see, that's what I argue about these BetMGM guys, the ESPN guys. They don't have a good reason why they bet the game. They'll say, oh, I'm taking the 3.5. Well, why are you taking the 3.5? Just to take the 3.5? I mean, it's insane. So it doesn't make sense to me to bet it because of the number. It makes sense to me to bet it because of the matchup. So that's why I tell you not really to listen to them. No idea who that number is. I get these strains like it's a 204 number. What is that? And then it's like, oh, do you have health insurance? Do you have car insurance? Stop calling me out of the blue with these stupid questions. Anyway, so that's what you really have. That's why I tell you not to listen to him, because I'm trying to teach you to get to the point where you make up your own mind. And then you come to me going, this is what I came. That's what Nick does. He comes to me, says, I like this team. And then now he's coming in for a double check. So he's learning, but he's not yet there. So he goes, what do you like? And I'll agree with him sometimes, and sometimes I disagree with him. Last week he took Philly an 8 in a 10-point teaser, and I said, why don't you go over 38 in the KC Cincinnati game instead of Philly an 8? Because I like the dog in the game, because Frisco could have beat him with their defense. Although I thought the 8 was good, but I thought the KC over was better. So they both won. Philly obviously won. KC played a 43. He'd have been over 38. He would have won that. So I do kind of like, look, I know you're betting and I don't want you to lose. So that's really what happens, is to get into that mode where you're looking at the game. So the thing I want you to do is are they A's? Are they B's? Are they overs, unders, Z teams? So the first thing you got to do is figure out the team, which you do by scorers. And then the second thing is, before you see a line, pick your line and pick your score. here my line's Philly -3. So I think that's how the betting will be. So when I'm putting Philly -3, I'm not saying Philly's going to win by 3. I'm saying take Philly -3. Philly -3 should be the line. And then the real line comes out where it's Philly -1.5. So I go, well, that's a short line. It should be 3. It's only 1.5. So if I want to take Philly at 4.5, I'm justified by the 3. Then I'm putting a score down, which I haven't done yet. And then the score is that goes into what I'm thinking. So like last week, I have Cincinnati 31-20. All right, it doesn't happen, but I thought Cincy would win. So therefore, when KC's favored by 1.5, I'm betting Cincinnati going, well, I think they're going to win, and I get 7.5 points. In this case, I haven't done it yet. I kind of think my first gut instinct was Philadelphia is going to run it down their throat. That was my first thought. But then I'm thinking Mahomes isn't really hurt. And KC plays these San Diego's, Oakland's, Buffalo's, Cincinnati's fairly well. They don't lose. And just the way they are, they find a way to win. Mahomes just finds a way and they score to now, and they're the dog. So it's a little bit different where Philly might run it down their throat, but I don't think they're going to blow out Kansas City. They just don't get blown out. And they play, to me, this is a San Diego game and they beat San Diego. But I take the dog. So I would take Philly as the dog, but I got KC as the dog, which they weren't a dog all year. Buffalo and Cincy, they were favored. So we don't really have a big track record of them being the dog. But I will check. I can go back 5 years with KC because they've had Mahomes 5 years. So now that trend with Reed and Mahomes I can use. I can't use it with Burrow. He's only been there 2 years. And I can't use it with Philly because Hurts has been there 2 years. But I can use it like with Green Bay with Rodgers, and I can use like a 3-year with Brady and Tampa, although he's gone. Is Brady done? I don't think so. I can see Brady. Well, let's see where Rodgers goes. Like if he goes to Oakland with Adams, will Brady go to the Jets? Will Brady go to Baltimore? Will Brady go to Pittsburgh? If I'm those teams, if I'm Baltimore, unless Brady hates Baltimore, I would think that'd be a great place for him. Lamar, you don't have a quarterback. You got a great defense and a running attack. He'd do good at Baltimore or Pittsburgh or Tennessee. So I don't think he's done, but we'll see. I mean, he did the same thing last year. Rodgers definitely is not done, and he'll play. I would think Oakland because he can be with Devontae Adams. He's got Josh Jacobs as a running back. He just doesn't have a defense, but they pick up some defense because defense is easier to find 2 or 3 players and add them to your defense. So that's what I see. We'll see what happens. Rodgers definitely not done. Brady, I doubt's done. Anyway, so that's what's happening there. Now here's where I get psychic in my instinct. So I'm watching and I go, God, I'd really want to watch Lord of the Rings. Hey, Phil, they acted like it was big news. Brady wasn't announcing the Super Bowl. No shit, his first game wouldn't be the Super Bowl. What a dumb news story. Why would he even announce? He's not an announcer. Well, he couldn't do any worse than Romo, Aikman, and Collinsworth. So I guess, he could be an analyst, but I don't understand why they pay the analysts so much. Do you think we're actually tuning in the game to listen to Tony Romo babble about nothing that makes any sense and always saying, oh, that was holding and that was interference and, agreeing with every call when, as a quarterback, you didn't agree with any holding or pass interference calls. So I don't know Brady. But back to my story. So I was like, I didn't bring my DVDs from Alabama when I moved back because it's in the moving truck and they basically scam me. So I still don't have it. I listen on mute. I agree. Yeah, or radio is pretty good. You get Kurt Warner, then it's a good one. So I leave my DVDs in Alabama or wherever at the moving place. I go, I really want to watch Lord of the Rings. I don't know why. And all of a sudden, boom, on Netflix, what's on? Lord of the Rings. I just watched 2 of it. The more I watch it, the more it reminds me of what's going on now. The Dark Lord trying to make the world in darkness. And I'm like, sounds like what's happening. The Dark Lord, China and Russia, are trying to put us all in darkness and bankrupt us, and we'll all be done. And I could see the parallel was exactly what's going on now with the financial systems all crashing. It's just amazing. Like, the people I talk to don't get it. Oh, it'll be like 2008. Well, everything will be fine. I'm like, this is not going to be get your money out of the stock market. No. It'll be fine. It'll come back. Oh my God. So it's just amazing how that works. Where I'm watching Lord of the Rings in real, and I don't like what I'm seeing. So it's a real pathetic thing. Paralleling the movie to what the real events of the world being covered in darkness. And then they're talking digital dollars, which won't happen, but people want to see. This is where people believe whatever they, if they said that we're going to all fly to Mars, they'd all believe it. That's how people are. They just don't think. So, this is not going to be good. Nobody cares. No, it'd be like, what's it in 2008 now? And well, because we got $100 trillion of debt. Maybe that will start us off. Maybe the fact that we have heavy inflation. As I talked yesterday, my favorite, just for you, Bobby, is this. So if this is why the inflation numbers they're giving us are wrong. So this is a $50 bottle. At least it was when I bought it. So it goes up to $100 because of the inflation. All their costs go up. They're going to raise the price to $100. And then nobody buys it at $100 because the market's $50. As I explained, you got to hit the market. So they don't make sales. They're in trouble. Their profit's going down. What do? They lower the price down to 90 or 80. Here's the problem of them measuring inflation year over year. The first year, it's okay. It went from 50 to 100. The problem is if they lower the price now down to 80, they'll say, look, inflation's coming down. It's down to 8. If we measure it from 100 to 80, look, it went down. No, they need to sell it. You measure it based on the 50. You don't do it year over year. It was 50, now it's 80. You still have heavy inflation. You can't look at it versus the 100 of the initial inflation to now 80, because for that to be the same, it would go 50 to 100 and then 100 to 150. Well, they can't sell it at 100, so they can't raise the price. And why are they looking at price for inflation? It's not what you look for. You're killing the money. And so really, if you didn't hold gold the way they hold it down, if they would let gold go free, you would then get a better barometer of inflation, because you would say, oh, it's 1,800. Now it's at 20,000. And then next year it's at 40,000. Then you can say, yeah, inflation's through the roof, but you need something like that is independent. Gas was $5, then got shot down to $2.90. And now it's coming back up to $3.30, $3.40 in Detroit. So on that point, yes, is that inflation? No, it's just prices being manipulated to $5 to $2.90. Now it's $3.40. So you can't measure year over year, and that's the problem with the inflation. So they'll say, "Oh, look, it's getting better." They raised the rate 0.25%. As I said, all that matters is it's just what they charge the banks. So you're going to see it on your auto loans and your credit cards and your mortgage. But if you got fixed mortgage, it's not going to be a problem. If you got your credit cards aren't going to be fixed. But your car loan should be fixed. I fixed mine at 2% in 2018. Now I paid it off, but it wouldn't have been affected because I made a fixed rate. And my advice to everybody is when you do a house or a car, you fix it. You do not do a variable rate. On a house, you're fucked because let's say you get a 1%, so your payment is whatever. It's going to 3, 100%, and then it's going to 4, and then it's going to 5 because it's a variable rate and it's going to keep going up. They're never going to come down. So keep that in mind. Get a fixed rate mortgage for sure, and your car. Any loans like that you got a good interest rate, fix it because it's not coming down. Phil, Bobby gets popcorn and watches the Fed meetings like it's the Super Bowl. Don't know why though. We know they will say beforehand he was hype yesterday. Well, I told him it was a quarter point, and it's going to be a quarter point the next 6 months because they want to break the system. It's part of the plan. There's two things wrong here. With all the debt, you raise interest rates, you break the economy, but you're not raising them enough to fix inflation. So you either raise it to 20% to fix inflation and you kill the economy, or you don't raise interest rates and the economy is okay, but your dollar is inflated to zero, to 1,000. You can't win because you're on a seesaw, right? You either go this way or that way, but you can't fix both, raising interest rates the way he is, and all he's doing is fucking up the world economy because everybody has dollars that they're paying interest on. So now you're Germany and you got dollars and you want to get rid of them, and here comes the interest rates up. So now you've got to pay more to pay back the dollars. And then I keep seeing where China is not paying back the bonds, and they just sent back $200 billion in bonds they didn't renew. Well, why is that a surprise? This is what kills me. These people act surprised by it. And I'm like, why are you surprised by it? Nobody wants US dollars. So anytime something renews, or the bonds, because that's how you would buy it. You'd buy the bonds. That's how you buy US dollars. Well, they wouldn't do it. So they're not good. Neither's Japan, neither's China, neither's Germany, neither's Europe. It's not a surprise when it happens. We all know they're trying to get off the dollar. I think it's 33 countries now on its way up. You got the Latin Americans coming out with their own currency. You've got the BRICS countries with their currency. The thing that scares me is the BRICS countries are like Mordor. They're Sauron with China and Russia. Like, do we really want them to come out with the currency backed by gold? We're the good guys, although we're not. We got the traders in the U.S. who are getting who Sauron's like fixing, and they're like Sauron, right? They're switching teams. That's the U.S., right? Our whole government is run by J.P. Morgan and the Chinese. So that's really, the movie's so perfect for this right now. So that's why you're in gold and silver. It's your only protection. And we know the countries are getting out of the dollar. So of course they're not going to renew. Why is that a surprise? The Fed's going to keep raising rates because they're trying to kill it because the Chinese want it. And I think this Fink guy, the BlackRock guy, is also with Powell, like they're buddies. So Powell listens to him, I guess. Either way, we're in big shit, but that's the problem. So we hope that the gold lease goes to the price. So now there's a China and a Russia gold exchange and physical, so we can get the physical value and get away from COMEX. COMEX has been a terrible system, highly illegal, highly ridiculous. And the banks have been making a fortune because it's all manipulated. So it's like betting a football game. Well, I'll take Philly minus 1.5, and then you're going to pay me for it. And that's what happened. It's sort of like they bet it, but they can't lose the bet. So if they lose the bet, this other London will buy the action, and then they really won't lose it. And that's kind of what goes on with this derivatives. J.P. Morgan wins every time they play it. Well, what's happening is the banks are seeing all the inflation, and all the central banks are buying gold, and nobody wants to play with J.P. Morgan. So when they lay the point, nobody's betting the other side for them. And so now they're going to lose their ass. So they've been buying the gold themselves, as well as all the central banks, because they realize all the paper money is going to zero. And if they don't hold gold, they're fucked. So this is what's really happening. And that's what we understand. So that's why I keep buying gold and silver. I don't know how, it's like, well, it's still 27 an ounce for silver. I'm going to buy 20 more. Why not? I mean, I don't want $600 in US dollars as it goes down. I want silver that's going to go through the moon. And it's taking a while. And the same question, well, if it hasn't done it, why is it going to do it now? Well, look at what's going on, but most people don't understand that. So they can't really, when I say BRICS countries, I don't even know what I'm talking about. So it's like, okay, how do I explain to these people that? I was talking to a guy, and he thinks that it'll be like a recession for a few months. So he's like a manager of a company, and I go to him, well, how are you thinking with this inflation and recession? Well, we think it'll dip for the next 6 months and then come back. And I'm biting my tongue to not say, dude, why would it come back? What would make you think that after 6 months of heavy unemployment, heavy recession, that it's going to come back? I mean, what are you thinking? Well, that's what happened in 2008. And you can only explain it so much that this is not 2008. This is not mortgage-backed securities where people can't afford the mortgage anymore. This is, sorry for the pause. This is huge debt. This is very strong inflation. This is a depression. This is not 2008. This is not 2000. And yet people will go, well, okay, we came out of 2008. Okay, it'll be the same thing. And you're like, no. I remember getting in arguments with the boys in Alabama who I worked with. I says, you probably need to get out of stocks. Well, Howard, no, you're older, so I could see where you don't want it, but it'll just go down and come back up. And I'm like, okay, you are fucking clueless, man. I can't talk to you. These people were the stupidest people I've ever met, considering they're in finance with master's degrees. They're a bunch of fucking idiots. No, it's not going to come back because this time it's the inflation that's killing it. And it's, and the depression. Nobody's going to hire. The companies are going to go out. The money's going to go out. How the fuck is the stock market going to go back? The only reason it's high now is because the government prints and puts the money into the market. And then half the companies are just buying back their own stocks. So they're basically putting the money back in to keep their stock price up. But at the end of the day, Tesla's going to zero because who the fuck's buying cars? And I mentioned yesterday where China, Tesla can't compete with China. Tesla's car is 50,000 for electric. Europe's like 40,000. Here's China at like 25,000. So everybody's buying the Chinese car because it's cheaper. Because the whole point of buying an electric car is for the environment. It's not to have a nice car. I mean, they don't want nice cars. They just want to help the environment. So, but then they become capitalists when it's, well, but I can buy this one for 25 and not Tesla's for 50. So I'll buy the 25,000. I'll help the environment, but this is what I can afford. And that's my point. So how can Tesla possibly compete with them? They can't. They're too expensive. And this is not the type of thing. You can do Mercedes, and people will pay more for the brand in a regular car that they want. In an electric car, and the whole point is the environment, you're not buying the Mercedes. I don't even think Mercedes even has. I think they have like one electric car. They don't have a lot of electric cars. Ford and GM dumped all their cars, gas-powered, and they're coming up with electric. Say goodbye to Ford and GM because you won't see them anymore. If you have stock in them, get the fuck out of it. Especially Ford. What are they going to do? Who's going to buy a Ford electric car? They can't make a good regular car, but an electric car. So it's going to be get the hell out of those stocks if you have them. So anyway, yeah, Lord of the Rings, what a parallel to what's happening now. The corrupt Sauron and all those guys are basically in China and Russia right now. And the Sauron in the U.S. is Biden's, and he's fucked. No Benz is introducing an entire fleet of EVs. I did well. Maybe they are, but you can still get the regular gas powered cars from Mercedes. Maybe they just coming out with it, but I didn't hear that I thought they had one electric SUV or something. So if they, well, are they still? I can't imagine them getting away from gas powered cars. But Mercedes had problems. That's where I was working, and then they had to let me go because of COVID. I had an interview yesterday, and the lady's like, "Well, why did you leave?" I said, "Because I had COVID." Or not. I said, "Because they got rid of all their contractors because of COVID." Well, you were working at home. I go, "Yeah, but I was contract, and they had to let me go. They wanted to hire me, but it was a hiring freeze, and they had to let me go." Why are you so worried about this? I worked 4 years at Mercedes. Obviously, I did a good job, and they liked me. They wanted to hire me. What part of this are you missing? And these people are so stupid. It just kills me. Um, so I don't know. I just scratched my head. So I'm glad I got the retirement, but I will work if I get the right offer because I don't know how long the Social Security is going to last. I don't know how long the job's going to last. So I'll just take it and go. You can buy any car gas still, but just like every company, they're bringing EV cars. Yeah, I agree with you. I know they had an SUV, but I'm saying is Ford actually got rid of all their gas powered cars for the electric cars. Mercedes is not doing that. You want to get the 300 series or whatever they sell there, it's still going to be there in gas. And then like you said, they'll have electric ones also, but they're not getting rid of their gas cars. They've created the image and they don't want to basically lose the image. And if they go to electric, so really who's going to buy? If I have the choice, I'm buying a Mercedes gas powered one than an electric. Again, only because I'm insecure and I want to have I own a Mercedes so I can tell my friends, I can tell Bobby I own a Mercedes. Like it doesn't do anything for me. And I'm really glad I'm finding my personality thing, that INFJ out. It really explains a lot to me of why I act certain ways. There's one video that I was watching. It says, "Don't say these 5 things to INFJs or you're really going to get an earful." It's like what makes us mad. And it was, it's pretty fucking accurate. I think the biggest thing is when you challenge me. It's more when I say something, 2 and 2 is 4, and you don't believe me, I get upset. Or when I tell you to buy gold, these idiots in the hot tub, and they go, they don't listen to me. I don't get mad, but if they come back and say gold's stupid, then I kind of get mad. Like, no, gold's where you go. So I think it's when I'm distrusted because I don't say buy gold unless I've done the research. And that's the part people don't understand, or they can't do the same research I can do. Anyway, so I'm kind of watching all these INFJ things that which I already know, but then it kind of adds it. So I sent it to my girlfriends, like, this is me. So just wanted to let you know what what you need to avoid, I guess. But they know me. Anyway, they can see it. So it is good, but there is ways to find out your personality. And I think it's really critical that you understand your personality because like I was listening to the couple in the hot tub and the kid acts different than the dad or something. And I was about to say, it's because you got different personalities. Of course, the kid's not going to act the same as you. He doesn't have the same personality you do. We all have different personalities. So that's what it is. Lunch break over. Be listening now. Okay, Phil, no problem. I'm jumping off about 1:45, and then I think I'll come back later. I have an appointment at 2:00 for 45 minutes. So I'll probably come back about 3:30 after eating some more lunch. So I have my avocado. They're getting small. I did go to Meijer's yesterday, which I think everybody should know what a Meijer's is. And their food's still very. I got the red, yellow, and green and orange peppers that I love to get, and I put in my salads. I put in my omelets, like the green pepper, but they're different stages. And they were 50 cents. And, it was $1.98 at Myers. I was at Walmart, and they were 50 cents a piece. So I got like 6 of them because I eat them all the time. And it was, oh, why are these so cheap? So the prices at Myers were still, I see for $2.29. They're an off-brand, but it's fine, so I don't care. And I got some like a rotisserie chicken, so I ate half last night. I'll eat the other half for lunch today. Anyway, so that's really what it is. So I think after the Super Bowl is when you're going to see the shit start happening. Just like the war didn't start till the Olympics in China ended, then the war started the next day. And I think that's what you're going to see here. Right after the Super Bowl, the shit's going to start hitting the fan. I really don't know what to okay, first of all, digital dollar, I keep arguing, is not going to be a one world currency. If it is, it's not going to be forced on you. Like the digital currency, they'll always be the dollar. They'll come out with a new dollar because you need it to go to the haircut, to get gas, to go to the grocery store, to go to dinner. You're not going to use your digital thing. And then tipping, you go to the clubs, you go play poker, you go casinos, and you take a taxi, you might need cash. They're not going to be set up to take the digital dollar. So the digital dollar will be there, but it won't be in the US for a long time. The rest of the world might start with it, but again, it'll be an option. So if I go to Europe to meet my Ukrainian girl, and we go to, I don't know, Amsterdam or Switzerland. Let's say we go to Switzerland. We can check out banks there. I'm going to take this and buy Swiss francs, and they'll be there. Even though they're on the digital dollar, I won't have to take them. I just think it's something there, but they don't. It's not. It's like crypto now. You can buy crypto, but you don't have to have crypto to use it. I don't have crypto. I don't take crypto. I don't know what it is. I don't know the value. It doesn't make sense, but I'll run out and buy gold and silver. But even with that, I'm not, when it goes up and I start cashing in some of it, I'm not going to, I'm not going to take the silver to buy things. I'm going to take the silver to get these to buy things. That's really the point of getting it. So it's not like you're going to go to Kroger's with an ounce of silver that's worth $2,000 and buy $80 worth of groceries and then wonder, how do I get change? That's not going to happen. It'll just be different currency. So you go to the bank or you go somewhere with your ounce of silver and then you exchange it for whatever the value in whatever the currency. And that's what used to go to the restaurant and go pay some bills and stuff like that. But that's what will happen. So with that said, that's the key to it. Just understand it. But again, I think that there's digital currency in China, but the rest of the world is not ready, and they're all testing or, seeing if, first of all, there isn't even demand for it. Do people want the government to know they went to Amsterdam, they went to Vegas, and what they did there? And is it going to be blocked? Nobody wants it. So again, it's a malinvestment. Mercedes can have an electric car, but nobody's going to buy an electric Mercedes, right? If you buy an electric car, the cheapest one you can get, because you're afraid of the pollution. I mean, I was on the bike at the gym yesterday, and I'm reading where Biden's worried about global warming is the biggest threat. I'm going, oh, here comes the idiot again. Can you control global warming? So if the Earth's rotating closer to the sun, what are we supposed to do? We're on a fucking planet. Of course you're going to have different, but it doesn't feel like global warming when I go outside and it's 10 degrees out. So I don't know what the hell the guy's talking about. And, you still have the 4 seasons. You still have hot and cold. I didn't see it that hot this summer. And I'm certainly not seeing global warming or global cooling or climate change. What are you going to do about it? Climate changes. We're on a planet. That's the problem. See, so I'm thinking it through, and everybody's scared. Oh, climate change. Oh, global warming. But think about it, and you're like, okay, let's just say that's true, which I don't believe. What are you going to do about it? You can't do anything about it. We're on a planet, so you just deal with it. I mean, right? Wear less warm clothes, go in the pool, stay in air conditioning. I mean, what are you supposed to do? And it's not like it's 200 degrees outside. It might go from 97 to 98. Okay, no big deal. Maybe you don't live in Florida, you move to Minnesota or Michigan or somewhere where it's cooler, if that's your problem. But I don't know. So I saw that and I laughed again. CNBC. They're not worried about inflation. They're not worried about the depression. They're just worried about global warming could be a problem. So they get you busy with that and they get you off subject. So you're not listening. This 0.25% rate hike is it's really to damage the other countries because they have dollars that they got to get rid of. And now we're charging them another 0.25% to get it back in interest. And that's all it does. It doesn't really affect us. It affects the banks because that's what it is. It's the central bank. It's the Federal Reserve charging the central banks more money, more interest, which makes money more expensive. That's really what it is. It makes the interest more, it makes the money more expensive, which of course is going to be a recession because things cost more. So we don't have access to more money. Therefore, we have to spend less. And then if you raise the prices on groceries and utilities, so that takes money out of your pocket. So where are you supposed to get, the more money? So of course, a recession is a slowing in the GDP, gross domestic product, which is going to happen. See, the gold and silver is the way out because that will go up. And that's where we get our more money, and then we can buy things as the dollar goes out to zero. Anyway, so that's kind of what that whole interest rate is. Again, it's when you raise, so we can use the restaurant. So again, we go back to our slab of ribs, $27. You make it 40, nobody's going to buy it. Well, it's the same thing here. The slab of ribs is 27. Now you raise this interest rate, which makes things cost more. So the guy's got to charge 30. You can't go over 27 because you're not getting more money. So that again, you're going to buy less. You're going to go to the chicken. So you're buying less ribs. And then he's got to start laying people off because he's not making money. And that's what happens. So in his business, he has to raise prices. We're not going to give up. We've got less money. He then, he's in trouble because he can't get it. That's why companies go out of business, as they should, because if they got into it at the price and cost now, they would never have gotten into it. You only go into a business if you can make, 15, 20% on it. So if I got into it making 15% and now I'm making 2% or losing, I got to get out of business. And that's what you see, like Myers or Burger King. I don't know if these companies are going out of business or whatever, but a lot of shit's happening. So with that being said, that's why they're going out of business, is because they can't make their margin they want to make. They can't make 20%. So let's say Burger King goes out of business. They're selling their hamburgers at $5. That's the market. They want to sell them at $6. The market says no. They got in because the cost was $4. So let's say Burger King's cost is $3 because it's per unit. And they sell so many millions of units. Their cost for burgers are $3 and they sell them for $5. So they're going, yeah, we'll get in. It's $3. We sell it for $5. Now, with the inflation and the meat price, it's now, let's say, $5. Well, we want to make profits, so we're going to sell them for $6, but nobody wants to pay $6 because it's Burger King, and I'm not paying $6 for a hamburger. So therefore, at the $5, they're not making, so their costs are $4. They're not making the 15, 20% because the cost was $3, goes to $4, but they can't sell it for $7, and everybody will pay it. So if the market won't go up, now what are they doing? When my cost is $4.50 to sell the burger at $5, I only make 5% on it or 2%, or maybe I don't make anything. Maybe I end up trying to sell it for 615. Market, my sales have dropped tremendously. I got to go out of business because I'm not making 20%. So it's pertinent that I make 20%. Otherwise, there's no point in being in business. Hence another reason I say to go into gold and silver, because you're going to make a lot more than the 20% without the risk, and there's no cost. Right? So you buy an ounce of gold for 1,800, 1,900, even now 2,000. You don't care what the price is. You're not income averaging because you want the gold. You're buying the gold to get the gold. You don't care. Price isn't an issue because it's going to go to $50,000. But do I care if I bought it for 1,900 or 2,000? Right? I don't care. But I do care that I have 10 ounces, 20 ounces, 30 ounces. That's the important part. Now you just got to hold on and wait for the price to jump, thanks to Russia, China, and the U.S. collapsing the dollar. So that's your point. So why go into a business now, if you can even find one that you can make 15, 20% on, as the costs go up? You're better off just sitting on gold and silver as your business. And then it goes up, and then you just made all this money. You had no risk. You have a great reward. You have no competition. Well, this is theoretically your competition's this, which is no competition. And that's what you should do. So that's what I tell people who run businesses is, what the fuck are you doing? Get out of the business, take your money and buy gold and silver. You can sit and then you'll buy an island in, 6 months, a year, gold will be way up and you'll buy an island. This is what people don't get. Okay. So if I was running Burger King, that's exactly what I would do. Is I'd get out of Burger King. I would sell it, take the money. It's in gold and silver. And I would just, go buy a house on the ocean and retire. And then when the gold and silver goes up, because if I'm holding on to Burger King, I can't possibly compete and I can't make any money because my costs went over the market. You cannot just raise the market, right? If the market says I'll pay $6 for the Whopper, well, I didn't think of that. I used to get 2 for $6. So let's say it's there was a big sale, 2 for $6. So I'd get 2, and I'd throw away one bun and put it on the other one. So let's say it's I don't know, it's $4. So let's say it's $6 for a Whopper. And again, if the market says I'll pay you $5 for a Whopper for 5 years, you can't. Okay, we're going to charge $6, and the market will go up. It won't. Part of the market will go up, but not the whole market. The whole market will either go to McDonald's or go to Wendy's, or they'll go to the grocery store, find a pound of hamburger for $5 like I have, and you go make 3 pounds of hamburger. You got 9 hamburgers for 3 pounds at $5 for $15. I get 9 hamburgers, which is approximately $1.50 a hamburger that I make my way. That's not fried. It's, I broil it or I put it in the frying pan, and I got $1.50 for a hamburger instead of $5 for some bullshit at Burger King or Wendy's or wherever you want to go, as they make it smaller and, all that shit. And then they scam you by sweetening the bun. So of course it tastes good, but you're eating sugar and carbs with the bun. Where at home, I don't have buns, right? So I broil, let's say I take 9 and I broil them, I get 3 pounds. And then I'll either make it with my omelet, which is fantastic. When you break it into little pieces, you put some the peppers and the broccoli in it, and then you coat it with the eggs. Once it's kind of heated up, you put it in the oven for 3 minutes, and the egg is the bun with the burger, and it tastes amazing. So I can do that with the burgers, or I can just cook them and have them with a salad for dinner, which is fine for my diet. It keeps me healthy and it keeps your costs down. So that's what I do as a way of, I haven't been to Burger King or Wendy's or any of these in a couple of years to keep my blood pressure, blood sugar down, my weight down, to be healthy. So I can eat protein, which is what I do, but I save a lot of money by going and I go to a good grocery store, but only for the meat and the chicken. So that's That's why sometimes I get bored and I get Chinese or I get ribs because I'm like, okay, I made the roast, 3 pounds of hamburger. Okay, now I made chicken. Like, okay, what else can I make? And that's so Saturdays are Chinese, and then once every couple of weeks I go to the barbecue place and get ribs chicken combo or whatever it is. So that's the reasoning of that. But the protein's fine. You just got to watch your carbs. So again, you can't control the market. So if you want to make 20%, you've got to make 20% is fine. But when your costs go up, it's very hard to, just like the Camry, you can't go from 22,000 to 30,000. Nobody's buying it. So you can't, because your costs go up, raise your price because the market won't allow it. Now that's free market, laissez-faire Austrian economics, which teaches you that. The Keynesians don't teach you that. They just say, well, we'll print more money and don't worry, you'll be able to sell it, because they don't even know what a market is. And that's the difference. But in our world, we've got to be very conscious of the market. So when you set the price and the market agrees, you're moving your price around to, okay, we'll go here. Well, okay, we'll go down here. Oh, yeah, we'll raise it. We don't get it all. And then so you equilibrium, we raise it, they come. We raise it, they come. We raise it, they don't come. Okay, we lower it back. We know that's our market. And that's what most of the, we'll sell 100 hamburgers at $6. But if we go to $7, we sell 30 hamburgers. And then you just multiply it. Well, is it worth it? No, I make more money at $6 at 100. I make 6,000 versus $7 and I get 30s, a far less return than at $6. So I sell it. So that's what you're trying to do. And that's what I mean by market. So the $6, you get 100 people, 7, you get 30, 5, you probably get 200 people. So then you multiply 5 times 200, 6 times 100, and you just go, okay, this is where I'm at to make the most money. So the hamburger price goes up, but I've already tried that. So if I raise the cost to cover the cost of the hamburger increase, I only get 30 people. I can't raise it, which then forces me out of business, because to keep the price at 6, now I'm making 2%. It's not worth it for me to make 2% selling hamburgers. So therefore, that's why a lot of these smaller companies go out. But now you're getting companies like Walmart and what was the other one? Even like, I wouldn't be surprised if Ford goes out of business. Ford's cost for the electric cars, not going to sell any. So I'll be surprised if they can stay in business, because if you can't, again, your business is to sell inventory, right? You're selling cars. If you can't sell it and you make it, so your cost is in, and you got costs for the plant and the land and the building. So you got all these costs that are fixed regardless. How in the world are you going to make profit when you can't raise your price? And you're trying to sell an electric car there's no demand for, or very small demand. 300,000 units in 20 and 21. Last year, supposedly 800,000, which, okay, let's say there is still not a lot. And that's all electric cars in America. And there's the electric gas car, the hybrid, which is mostly what's being sold. And then most of the people are filling it with gas anyway. So there's not a whole electric car product that the market even cares about or wants, especially with this inflation. Nobody's going to run out and buy an electric car when you have inflation in a depression, basically. So you got to be careful. These guys on YouTube want to scare you. You have to understand it before you listen to them. Otherwise, you're going to get scared when they say, oh, hell's coming. Oh, this is going to be the worst since 1920. You got to be careful about that. So when I read it, I know my background. I know my shit. That's why I'm coming out here. So when you see it, you come to me, and then I can settle you and say, yes, no, whatever. And then I can say, here's how we get out of this mess. And that's why I introduced you to gold and silver. That gets you out of the mess. If you had gold and silver in 1929, you'd have been fine. I would have gotten you out of the market, and I would have gotten you into gold and silver, provided, yeah, you could buy it at that point. I would not have given it back to the government. I would have black marketed, where 200 of us would have said, okay, we're going to go with gold and silver, and we would have bartered. And okay, here's an ounce of silver for some, corn, and we would have done that. We never would have given our money to the government. So that's really the way out of this, is the gold and silver. As you can see, what I read you with Zimbabwe yesterday, right? What are they doing? They're printing their money. The only out is to print money back by gold. But since they can't do that, what are they doing? They're selling gold. And look what happened. They sold out, because everybody, they might not know what gold is or if it's a good investment, but when their money is so heavily inflated, what do? They know to go to gold and silver, and they go to it. And, there's some educated people like us out there that understand gold's role and understand that's our escape and that's going to keep us. And the governments are still like, oh, you shouldn't do that. And the Zimbabwe prime minister or the banker said, fuck you guys, we're going to print more gold, and we're going to make it in dimes and quarters, so people don't have to spend $2,000 on it. They can buy it for $200 for the dimes and $500 for the quarters. So they can afford that, and then they buy some gold that protects them. So that's our out, because as soon as Biden's in office and I see he's printing, I know inflation is overprinting. So once I hear he's printing, I get the fuck out of stocks. I sold all of my stocks. I got my money out of the bank, and I immediately said, what do I do with it? And it was Swiss francs, euros. There was nothing to go to, because they're also not backed by gold. They're just paper, and they're going to do the same thing as the U.S., which is go to zero. So it led me to gold and silver. I would not buy Bitcoin because I do not see how it has its value. It's not an asset per se. Is it any different than having, Microsoft? Yes, because Microsoft is a company that has earnings, and Bitcoin doesn't have earnings. They don't have anything. Their selling point is you're out of the system, and we only have 21 million, assuming 21 million is limited. And then my argument is I can go buy a Mickey Mantle card. If you get a PSA 9, there's probably 100 of those. You want limited, I'll get you some 100 count Brady's and limited Jordans and limited Mahomes. I got a 50 count Mahomes. You want limited, I'll give you limited. So that was my answer, was going to gold and silver immediately. And I keep, I religiously buy the 10, 20 ounces or so. Depends on what's happening. But pretty much in a month's time, I'll buy about a 20 ouncer of silver and a 10 ouncer of silver. And if I see gold, I'll buy another quarter ounce, or I just bought a half ounce. My credit cards are a little high, but I don't care, because at the point, will the credit cards go to zero? Are they going to move them to zero? I don't know, but I know what I owe in the credit card, and I know what I got in the gold. And so to me, it was just a wash. And so if I have to, I'll sell a quarter ounce of gold and pay off the credit card. I did that. So that was my view on it, was simply, I believe I got a 2:00 appointment. So with that said, I'm just checking. I think it's 2:00. I think that's what I said. But as it becomes 1:00, I just want to make sure I don't fuck up the appointment. And it's 2:00. Okay. So that's the whole key to it. So it's, how do you save yourself? And thank God that's where my economics background, like I said, my undergrad was Keynesian economics. I don't know what the hell I didn't learn anything. I thought it was the stupidest class. The guy talked gibberish, so you couldn't get anything out. And then I'd go and I get my master's at an accounting school, and they teach Austrian economics, which you had to take, but you didn't even know what it was. I go, oh shit. And then it was like, this is not the same economics class I took. I didn't even know there was Keynesian and classical. That's the other thing they don't teach you, that there's two economics. One's communist and one's free market. Fortunately, I got into the free market. So you understand everything that's going on. This was my master's present. So some guy in the hot tub go, why do you have a gold chain? I go, this is for my master's. I was going to buy a class ring. It was $800. This was gold, and this was $500. So I bought the gold because I just got the master's that told me the key is in inflation, the dollar loses its value and real assets keep it. So your house, your gold, your silver, your diamonds, paintings, anything that's a real asset will maintain its value. So that leads you to gold and silver because that's real assets as they print the fuck out of this. So you just got to know if the dollar's not backed by anything and you see they're printing the shit out of it, which is what's happening now, you know there's inflation. You don't need to see the prices. You just know the dollar's losing value. But then when all these countries are getting off of the dollar, Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, the whole Latin America, half of the Asians are now off of the dollar. 33 countries don't want it. Well, if nobody wants it, there is no value to your dollar. Only in America and maybe Canada do they want the dollar. And everybody's returning it. We don't want it. We're not going to get sanctioned. We don't want these high interest rates. So they get off the dollar. Now even more dollars flood in, which really raises the inflation. So the government tries to be sneaky, like Smeagol or Gollum. They're sneaky. And what they're doing is saying, oh, wait, year over year, look, inflation's coming down because it went from $50 to $100. They can't sell it, which they don't tell you. It's down to 90. Look, see, inflation went from 100 to 90. Yeah, but it was 50. And so they're trying to sell you that inflation's going down because year over year prices are down. But that's not how you measure inflation. You measure it on the value of this going to shit. And so you need to find something that values the dollar, which would have been gold and silver, had you left it alone. So you got to find something that isn't manipulated, that you got to get a base from 19 or 2020. So let's go to Coca-Cola at $1.59 for a 2 liter. If it was even that much, and now it's $2.99. And then it's which store are you getting this information from? Because if I go into one store, it's $2.99. If I go to another store, it's $2.79. Walmart had it at $2.29 yesterday. So which price are you going to get? Are you looking at cell phones? Are you looking at iPhones? Are you looking at computers? Are you looking at my Swiss plates? This was $10. I mean, what exactly are you looking at that you're coming up with prices are going down? Because I know you're not looking at food, utilities, or rent, because those go through the roof. So that leads you to whatever you're looking at, clothes, or are you looking at cars? The Camry went from 22 to 30, and now it's down to 25. So you're thinking inflation's down. See, they don't even understand the concept that the businesses are trying to sell their inventory. So therefore, they're again trying to raise price over market, and then they got to lower it and hope the market comes. I hope you need a Camry. Well, I just bought an 18. I don't need one every year. I'm going to hold that for a long time, especially it's gas powered. So I'm not going to get out of the gas powered to buy. And then if you only have electric, this is like the digital dollar. There will be companies selling gas powered, probably Mercedes, probably Toyota. They will still sell gas powered cars. There'll still be gas stations because they make money. And as long as they make money, people will have it. Now, depending on what you call money, if it's going to be this or the new dollar, or it won't be digital, so don't worry, but this or something backed by gold or gold and silver, which is real money. If they got to sell gas at a quarter ounce of silver to per gallon or to fill it up or whatever, that's what they'll do. But as long as they can make money at it, that's what business is. That's the point. Once you fuck business over, you don't have an economy, you don't have government, you don't have anything. We're all fucked if you stop having an economy, right? So I don't think they're that stupid. And I don't think the players who are in the economy are going to let it go. JP Morgan is not going to just sit back and go, yeah, we'll have a digital dollar and our bank will close and that's it. I mean, they're not going to do that. They make money. They want to keep making money. So that's my argument is the banks control the government are not going to go out of business. They make too much money. They don't want to go out of business. They'll just find a different way to make money. But there's no way they're just folding up the tent, and they're powerful too. So look, the weapons manufacturers, Northrop and Lear, and some of these that are McLaren, they're making a ton of money on this war. You think they just want to go out of business? Fuck no, they're not. They create the war so they can sell their inventory. Because how else does a weapons manufacturer who makes jets or a Boeing or something, how are they supposed to make money? So they need a war, or they need a purpose that the countries will want to buy their airplanes. So therefore, they'll come up with something, but they're not going to go out of business. They make too much money selling these F-14s or F-16s, whatever the fuck F letters they are. So that's their point. And that's why the businesses aren't going away. The digital dollar is just, it's going to be like Bitcoin, right? It's, if you don't want, I don't have Bitcoin, I don't need it. I have the current, there'll be alternates. The gold and the silver are not, should be money, but aren't, we'll be able to trade it in to get whatever they're calling money to go to the grocery store and that. So you're not going to go to Target with an ounce of gold and buy, $100 worth of stuff. And then how do I make change for my gold? That's just not how it's going to, you'll just trade it in. It's like I said, it's like having a Rolex now. That's a $50,000 Rolex. You don't go out to dinner with your Rolex, say, here, I'm going to pay for it. You get the money. So when I was at the Toyota dealer, I said, well, you'll take an ounce of gold. He says, well, I'd make you get the cash first. And I'm saying, well, what if the cash is worthless? You're going to take the gold. You need to sell the vehicle. You're going to take an asset. That's the part he doesn't understand. But I told him, I said, yeah, now you might have me go get cash for it to pay you. But not when the money's worthless, you're going to take the gold. And that was he didn't get that. But that was my point. That's why it's hard to talk to different personalities and people that are ignorant. They only can latch on to what their comfort zone is. So I've learned a lot about this personality trait thing and why I connect to people and don't connect to other people. It's really a good thing to know. So you can go on and go, what's my personality type? You'll take a test and you go, yeah, that's me, or no, it isn't. So when I did this INFG, I go, yeah, that's me. I always knew I was psychic. I never knew why. Well, it's really an intuition. I can feel things. I can feel people. I can feel games, poker. That's why I've always been good at it. I can feel it. I understand it, but I never knew why, but now I do. But I can see why people don't like me, because they get intimidated by me, or they're insecure in their own personality and they can't handle a guy strong like me. They run away and they go, oh no, he's too strong. Or like I said, my ex-wife thought she wasn't good enough to marry me. She said, I'm not good enough for you. I was like, what are you talking about? I mean, you're fine. But that's what it is when you're this kind of strong. It's hard for other people to, because I point out your insecurities. And then the thing on yesterday was pissing off an INFG. And it was like, don't say these things. And because we analyze and listen, I know what to say to piss you off, but I really don't want to piss you off. You'll see a girl and go, oh, you're real pretty. And she's not real pretty, but I know if I say it, it'll make her feel good. So I do it to make her feel good. And so she can't handle it because she's got very low self-esteem or whatever it is. And so now I understand that more of what these are, but these are good personality things. But again, it all falls into me trying to explain gold, and I got to know who I'm talking to. So I got to know what to look for that I can actually talk to them with gold, or I got to ignore them. So what I tend to do, I talk to people on gold. They don't want to listen, and then I don't talk to them again. I'm kind of, because it's not worth it. You don't want to agree with me, so there's no point in trying to help you. See, you're trying to help the person, but there's no point in helping the person if he doesn't want to be helped. So once I meet somebody, there's this overweight guy in the hot tub, and he has these little plastic things on him. I go, what's that? Well, that's for insulin. And now I've just watched the doctor on YouTube, and he goes, "You don't want insulin is the problem, not the solution, because your body's the cells are full of sugar. So you want to. That's why you fast to clean the cells out. But once the cells are full, what good is putting insulin in your body? It doesn't help you." So I tell this to the guy, like, you take them off. That's the worst thing for you. You need to fast and get rid of your carbs and your sugar. Here I'm trying to save the guy's life. He doesn't even know I'm trying to save his life. I tell him this will help you out, and then you'll lose weight. You'll get rid of your sugar. I see him, a couple of weeks later. He's got the patches on. I go, I just told you not to use them. And he said, well, I went to my doctor. Well, what's your doctor going to say, right? I went to your doctor. This is like going to your financial planner who says, no, you want to be in stocks, not gold and silver. And I'm telling you to get into gold and silver. I'm smarter than your financial planner, but you don't want to you trust him. You don't trust me, which pisses me off. Right. So I'm saying, get out of it. And the guy won't he still has it. And, my doctor said not to, so I'm not. I said, but I told you to go watch the guy. I gave you the guy's name. Go watch his video. So he doesn't watch the video, doesn't take the things off. So now I just ignore him because I can't help him. So what's the point of talking to him? Because in my world, I'm trying to help people, right? And then I get my knowledge. And I say, by goal, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you survive this whole depression and this whole inflation, right? And that's what I do. And that's why I give games to here's my free pick. So you bet them and win, right? Everybody won on Cincinnati last weekend. I gave you Cincinnati and they won. So that's the point. Now, of course, in a teaser, but that's my point. Why am I giving in games? So how many other handicappers can give you a free game with the intent of you actually win, not the intent of, oh, good, now you'll buy from me. I do it to actually help you. So I do a lot of shit like that with the diabetes, insulin. But if you don't listen to me, I say to myself, well, what's the point? And then I don't like you. I don't want to help you because I tried helping you and you didn't take my advice. What's the point of helping you? I'm not going to keep beating the horse, right? So I told you, you ignored me. So therefore that is, okay, goodbye. I'm going to go look for somebody else. So now I see him and the guy tries talking to me and I just walk right by him. And there's a lot of people like that I'll say, go buy gold and silver. And they don't. Did you buy it yet? No. And from now on, I just walk right by them like they're not there because I don't want to hear the bullshit. I'm very good at I don't want to hear the bullshit. I only want to hear the meat. I only want to hear the truth and I only want to help you. So if you're not going to listen and I can't help you, there's no point in having the conversation because I'm not about phony bullshit. I'm about real bullshit. So that's kind of what I'm understanding about the INFJs, but we're really powerful. We're like wizards, I guess. We're really powerful, but we don't listen to the bullshit. This is why, and I'm showing you, here's the market, da-da-da-da-da. That's not bullshit. That's reality. And now you understand what's going on. And the same thing with inflation. It's not the prices, it's the money. So I prove my theorem by saying, if Coke went to $3 and now it's down to $2.50, and they're saying inflation's down because the price of the Coke is now down, I'm saying, but you need the price of Coke versus the $1.59, not last year, which is the problem with year over year. So everything I'm doing is to try to strengthen so you understand it. So it's good when Bobby and Phil and they buy silver and Nick and they, okay, maybe they can't afford gold. I don't knock that, but at least you're buying silver. That's great. You get it. And again, it's no risk. You're just trading in $1 for silver. The silver will have more value than the $27 you paid for it because of the bricks, because now it's finally, we got a gold exchange. We got a silver exchange. It's going up. Silver is going to be priced in gold. It's going to go through the roof. It's just a matter of probably after the Super Bowl, but probably this year. Again, it's JP Morgan in the US fighting to let it go because they want you to buy dollars. But with all the countries going out, that's another reason the dollar is going to collapse, and gold and silver, and then plus Russia, China pricing it. So it all comes together as we can see why it hasn't in the past, but why it is there. But if you notice, it's not $35 anymore. So even with JP Morgan doing his shit, it's still 1950 for gold. Let's see if it jumped back up from where it was, right? So in gold, here's the Dow. That says it's like 1930. Yeah, it's 1913. So it had the 10 o'clock dip. It kind of went up. So here's where you get caught. You buy it on a dip at 1920, and then it starts going up, and you go, okay, good. And then it does the double dip. This is the only time you get caught a little, but then you wait for it to come back. So it's at 1912 now. And now you can see it's starting to come up. But the 1912 is derivative. It's not supply and demand. People aren't selling their gold at 1950 to go down to 1920. It's the derivatives. It's not the people. And again, it's based on the interest rate going up. So the dollar's stronger. So therefore, gold must go down. But the dollar isn't stronger, and the inflation didn't go away. And that's the whole point. So this is all fake because of the interest rates. So they're almost doing the interest rates on purpose to get gold down because, oh, wait, we're in the dollar. The dollar's being inflated to shit. Why would you want to be in the dollar? You don't want to be in the dollar now. It's still being inflated, but JP Morgan's doing his best to say, look, get in the dollar. The dollar's stronger. The interest rates went up. It's to strengthen the dollar, which theoretically it does, because it says if the interest rate goes up, the dollar is obviously stronger because you're supposedly pulling some dollars out, but that's not what's happening. You're not going up enough, so it's bullshit. But then why does gold go down? Because the dollar goes up. Because gold only goes up when there's inflation. Well, the inflation isn't going anywhere. And gold, if you let it run, would still be going up because the whole world needs the gold, not just the U.S. So that's all the little asterisks that they're, bullshitting you with. So I read between the bullshit because I don't listen to the bullshit. That's why I don't like the BetMGM guys or the ESPN guys, because it's just bullshit. And I don't listen to it. And that's why I tell you not to listen to it, because it's not going to help you. It's just bullshit. So I tell you what to listen to. I give you the doctor. I give you the gold guy. I mean, so when I give you a video, that's who you want to listen to. That, and you're not getting bullshit. Now, one of the guys in England, he has a hard time. He talks at too high of he's like a banker. So he talks in banker's terms, and he'll say the ring fence, and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? So it's just basically controlled. And then, so you've got the gold price controlled, and then you have the BRICS countries and these other countries who go away. They're not in this ring fence. They're over here buying it, and that's what's destroying it. So everybody's playing this little game, and they're over here saying, fuck you, I'm not playing that game. And they're just buying it cheap. So really what we're doing is we're selling to Russia and China real cheap gold and silver. We're not buying it. I saw something yesterday that there's no gold in Fort Knox, which I already know. And they said, something happened like 12 years ago. I don't know if there was an audit or whatever, but they say it's all gone. It's all been sold. There's nothing there, which I know. So they'll say the U.S. has 8,000 tons, which they don't. But then to add insult to it, they say, oh, Russia's got 2,000 and China's got 2,000. China's got 40,000 and Russia's got 15,000, but they won't tell you that. And that's really where the bullshit's happening, is they're not telling you the truth. So when I hear it, I tell you the truth. So you have an understanding. We need to learn Chinese and Russian. Fortunately, I got a Russian girlfriend who can speak Russian, but I don't have any Chinese friends, and I don't know that I want any communist friends. The Russians aren't communists. I mean, the girls are fine. They do know about money. They do know about gold, so they all know that. But the Chinese, I don't know. I don't meet a whole lot. I'll meet some Orientals that are Malaysian or Japanese, but not Chinese. I don't know too many Chinese people, and I try not to. They're out of their mind. I mean, they're just communists that have been controlled. So I don't know. I don't see any value in having them as friends. But that's what I don't like when they talk racist or end racism. How are you going to end racism? Especially with a guy like me who's going to look at the person. I don't care what race you are. If you're not going to listen to me, if you're not going to let me help you, I'm not going to talk to you. So I don't care what race they are. And that's really the beauty of the silver and gold. I don't care what you are. Buy it. If you buy it, that's fine. That's smart. I don't care what, so I don't know what this racism is. I don't like or dislike somebody based on their race. I like them based on if they're smart, if we get along, if I can help them, because in my situation, it's about helping. So if I can help you, I don't care about the race. And if I can't help you and I don't like you, again, it's got nothing to do with your race. It's your personality. So when I see like end racism, I'm like, what are you talking about? Who sits there and goes, I don't like you or I like you based on your race? I don't think anybody does. I think the guys, if the guy fits your personality, you like them. If they don't, you don't like them. It's as simple as that. To make it a race thing is just absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, what else? So, think after the Super Bowl, let's see what happens. I think it's going to be a lot of shit hitting the fan. As far as, food going up, I don't know what we're going to do. So I got my freezer packed with steak and chicken, and I got frozen vegetables on the side, which I don't even know if they're any good, but I'm going to boil them and heat them up and eat them. Popcorn, what do you have in the house? Maybe some tuna, but how long is that? Okay, I've eaten it. The point is, how do I resupply myself? Is it really going to get where Kroger is not going to have food, or is Kroger just not going to accept this? This is what I think. They're going to say, I don't want this anymore. So people like us walk in there with silver and they're going, fine, you can go grocery shopping here, just pay us with silver. That's what I think will happen. I don't know why they would stop being a business and buying food to sell to the public, which everybody needs to survive. So I don't know why they would stop doing that. Now, if they're in a situation where Walmart and the prices are too high, and they can't make profit because they can't raise their price, but I can't imagine they can't sell, Coke and chips and tuna fish and cereal, like the eggs, like they can't sell that. Like they raise their eggs. Their eggs I bought yesterday, 12 for $4.88. Okay, yeah, it's gone up a little bit, but I don't care. I need the eggs. They're healthy for me, and I eat my omelets. So I'm like, fuck, if I have to, I'll spend $20 on 12 eggs. But hopefully it doesn't come to that. I guess there's a point where I wouldn't buy eggs anymore, but it's too important in my diet because I can only eat so many hamburgers and chicken that I need the veggies and the omelets like for lunch. So there's too much need for me to have the omelets, but I don't think they'll get that high because I think, okay, you raise it to $6 for a dozen, nobody will buy it. They'll have to lower it back down. That's where the market comes in, and that's where we help. So let's see what happens, but I can't imagine we can't get any food. Because it's a business. They are there to sell inventory any way you look at it, and that's what they're going to do. Digital currencies? No, there won't be. If they are, you'll still have the option of cash. There's too many businesses that need cash. I think we all know what they are, but I mean, you tip a doorman at Caesars. What are you going to do? Oh, wait, I'm going to give you $5 digital because you held the door for me. And he's going to what? Oh, wait, let me get my digital dollars. So you know what account to put it to? Or is it going to be an email? Or you have, the professor as my ID for my digital currency. Do I want digital currency? No. See, that's really the thing. Do I want it? No. I'm private. I don't want you to know what I'm doing. Not that I'm doing anything illegal. It's private. So it's things like that. So I don't know where they're coming from it, but a lot of times the government will put things out and it's really just a trial balloon, a digital currency. Nobody wants it. Electric cars. Nobody wants it. There's a few that'll, oh yeah, I'll save the planet, but yeah, you're out of your fucking mind if you think an electric car is going to save us. If the planet's really in danger and we're all going to die because of global warming or climate change, there's really not a lot we can do anyway. So eventually Earth will blow up and whoever's last on, turn off the light. We're not flying to Mars. Certainly we can't fly to the moon because that will never, we can't survive. The radiation will kill us. So really, I just don't like, what are we going to do? But you keep going and, we're all going to die. When we die, we die. Hopefully we live a long, happy life. That's the point of it. I'm trying to make your life longer and happier by gold and silver, by the football, by the economics. So that's what I'm trying to do, is give everybody a fighting chance with a happier and healthier life and more profitable life. That's how I view it. So if that's my goal, my end game, and somebody like the diabetes guy ignores me, what do I want to have anything to do with the diabetes guy? I'm trying to save your life and you're telling me to go fuck off. I'm like, fine. I don't need you. You need me. I don't need you. I've already figured it out. So I'm going to go on to the next person. That's kind of how I view it. It's like, you don't want my help? Fine. When I'm at the poker table and I'm telling you to buy gold and silver and you're in crypto, I can't help you anymore. I won't talk to you. There's no point of continuing the conversation because I'm not doing it for the bullshit. I'm not doing it to be liked. I'm not doing it to, make a friend. I really don't try to do that. I just comment, okay, we'll talk football. We'll talk poker, or we'll talk economics, or we'll talk food. With Phil and Bobby, we have a lot of in common stuff, so we talk about it. But really, that's really me, right? I try to figure things out. I figure them out, and then it's really just to help people. It's not really I don't really need the friendships, which is why I have a couple girlfriends, because it's like, well, whatever happens, happens. Oh, she fits in. So, okay, you're my girlfriend, and she fits, so you're my girlfriend. And I don't care. I'm not trying to hurt them. I'm trying to take care of them. I'm trying to help them. So it's not anything harmful, but they fit, and okay, and they serve purposes, and I serve purposes. I help them, they help me, and that's part of it. But that's really the whole key to it. It's you're really not trying to make friends per se. There's no value in it. What do I need a friend for? Okay, I can talk and how you doing. So I have friends, but that's not really your goal. You're trying to help people is my goal, and then you make friends out of helping people. People appreciate you, and that's kind of what it's all about, right? So people appreciate you, and you're friendly with them, and that works. And if they if they start like where you can't help them anymore, then I will move on. I'll still be friends with you. But then there's that crossing the line, like don't say this to INFGs. So if we get into don't cross the line, and you cross it, then I can be very hurtful because I know your weaknesses. That's apparently what I do, right? I read the person and I go, okay. And then I can say things that will hurt them and their insecurities. but you don't want to do that. It's only if they cross the line with you. So, you can see me on some of these people. I I don't kick them off. I just silence them. And I say, okay, you're going down the wrong path. You're asking the wrong questions. This isn't what this is for. And then I'll quiet them out. And again, I'm not trying to be mean, but it doesn't add any value, or you're saying the wrong things. So I'm not going to attack you. I'm just going to, okay, you're not welcome, or we don't want to hear from you. You can listen because I want to help, but you're not going to, don't tell me Bobby is not real. I mean, what the fuck? Bobby's got nothing better to do than watch the show and pretend he's real. I mean, who the fuck does that? I know scammers that pretend they're pretty girls and they, send me money. And you're like, okay, send me a video that says you're real, and they won't do it. And you know they're not real. You don't get mad at them, but I just tend to just block them and move on, going, well, you're not real. The ones that are real I've met, and some I like, some aren't, and you move on. But that's why I have problems with girls that, I have a boyfriend and I know you like me. I can tell, I can feel it. That's the other part of me. And then you just kind of laugh at them going, well, even if you do have a boyfriend, which I doubt, don't you want to have competition? Don't you want to have friends? So some girls are like, oh, my boyfriend won't let me have friends. And I'm like, you're in the wrong relationship, because that's what you should be doing, is making friends. So I'll make friends like that, right? And you should make friends, because it's probably not going to work, because if he's controlling you, it doesn't sound like it's a long-term thing. Then you're going to be alone, and you're going to go, God, I wish I was friends with the professor. And a lot of people feel me, so they're attracted to me because of the way I talk to them and care about them. So they immediately are attracted, like, oh, I don't meet guys like this. And apparently the INFJ girls are like me too. You want to meet them. If you can meet them, you're very lucky. I don't know if I've met them. I got to do some more research, but we're very calming people, and people are attracted to us because of the way we talk to them and everything. So anyway, that's what that's about. Everything else, I got another 5-10 minutes. And I think I'll come back on later. I don't know if I'll come back on at 3 or if I'll go swim and come back on at maybe when I get home from that, maybe 6-7 o'clock. I know some guys like Phil want to after work and get on, and this time fits good for me because I'm home, I'm having lunch, I do this, then I go swim and eat and shop, and then when I'm home, I just kind of want to relax. Where now I want to be up, so we will see. Anyway, so be careful. Keep in mind, I'm trying to help, but I might come across strong because I know 2 and 2 are 4. And I'm going to really be kind of strong about it. And the same thing with football. When I get Cincinnati to beat Baltimore, I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to lock it. I'm not going to tell you it's a lock unless you're a customer. But if you're just on here like Phil and Bobby and you're not customers, I don't think you're a customer, Phil. Then you can see the game and you can go, okay, he took Cincinnati. You don't know I locked it, which is why you should buy, because you should bet a lot more on Cincinnati as a lock than just as a regular game. Because I figured out down the rabbit hole that teasers are, you take 2 teams, both of them have to win. So if you play 2 teasers, you got to go 4-0. You're not going to go 4-0 unless you're Madoff. You're going to go 3-1. So you're going to win one and lose one. So it's been determined that the best way to play them is to bet more on one and less on the other. So when you can figure out a stronger plays like Frisco and Cincinnati, Frisco beating Dallas, Cincinnati against Buffalo, when you get those real strong ones, you play them. That was a lock. You play them for much more. And that's the point of it. You play them very strong because you feel really comfortable because you have feels for those games. So you know they're going to win. So you bet a lot more on it. And then you maybe lose, Dallas, Tampa Bay. You lose with Tampa, but you don't bet a lot on it. They're old, they're not playing well, but you want to bring it home. So you make a small bet on that. So you bet that one, let's say for 100, you bet the other one for 1,000. So if I win the right two, I win the 900. I win 1,000, lose 100. I could win both of them, but I don't want to bet 1,000 on both because I don't love Tampa as a home dog with Brady. But I'm going to bet it because of Brady. But I'm not. They're not playing really well. So you just bet a small bet. I like Tampa, but then the big bet, the Frisco Cincinnati lock, you're betting 1,000 on. So as long as you hit the lock, maybe you don't even bet Tampa, but if you like them and you just want some action, you bet it small. So that's really the key to the teaser, betting big and then betting small, which you got to know. So you can't just bet them all the same. And like the guy I bet and I get 20% of, I give him different amounts. You're betting 500 on this game and 300 on this one and 100 on that. So I'm giving him different units. So if my lock's 27 units, I'm saying 27 units, you better bet 500 on it. And then I have a 15 unit one, he bets 100 on. And that's my point when I give the units. You bet your amount of what. So for 27 units, he bets 500, not 2,700. He'll bet 5, but if it's 15 units, he'll bet 100. So we keep winning the big one. We keep winning most of the little ones, and then we'll lose a little one. Occasionally we'll lose a bigger one, but not that much. And we cash just about every week. I think there's been 3 weeks where we didn't cash. Everything else, the other 9 or 10, we cashed every week. So that's really, what you want to do. And then when I get really a good feel, like that 11-team teaser I showed you, then when you really feel like 6-7 games, that's when you play the 3 teasers, but then you play the 6-7-team teaser. So I'm playing a 17 teaser. I don't have to bet a lot on it because my odds are going to be huge. At least they used to be. So now I bet a 17 teaser for, let's say, $50 to win 600. So now I'm only risking 50, but I like the 6 or 7 teams because I feel them all. And they're all Cincinnati's and San Francisco type of games. And that's when you really get them, is you start hitting 6-17 teasers where you get your feel, your risk is $50 and you win 500, 1,000, whatever. I know I used to have a customer and we do 5 teams. So we did a 5-team parlay, no teaser, and a 5-team teaser. And the 5-team parlay won for $1,000 and I got like 200. And the 5-team teaser hit for like 500-600. And so they were I'm nailing 5-team teasers. And so what I do in a parlay, since I want to bet a parlay, I would just give them the teasers and say, well, we don't even need the teaser here. Oregon's going to blow out, Cal. And I remember it was teams like that where they just were. I remember the last game was Oregon and they're going up like 35-0 and we're laying 2. And I go, okay, we hit it. And, so that's what you would do. And it worked very, very well. So that was kind of what I first figured the game out and then get the feel of the game. Like I'm struggling with KC Philly. I think it's just going to be take the dog in the over, but it's not like Cincinnati. KC was Cincinnati the whole way, no matter what. And Philly Frisco was I'm going under, right? So here I got to put the teaser in the one game. I know the over, and it's just picking the team, but I don't have it yet. So that's what I battle and look at 18 different angles to figure out what to do. But that's what you do is once you figure that out, then you make your bets. So we'll just have one bet. It won't be very large, probably 15 to 17 units. So it'll be like a $200 bet, but that's fine. I mean, we just cleaned up on the Philly under Cincinnati. That was a big 27 unit. So there you go. We won that one. This will be 15 units, maybe 17. And once I figure out which team to take, I know it's the over. And that's it. And we're going to win. And then Then I'll start fucking around with basketball because it's the same logic, but I don't want to take away from football with the basketball. Now, when football's over, I should be able to use the same theory, which says take the points, who's the A team, who's the over, who's the under, and go from that. So if I figure all that out, but I got to set it up, and then how often do I do it? Because football, the beauty is it's just on the week. It's once a week, right? You might play Thursday or it's Saturday or it's Sunday or Monday night, but it's once a week. So then on Tuesday, you can update all your stats. Basketball, what are you going to do? I mean, I guess you'd have to do it Monday and just take this is what they did for the week and how much is it going to change? Because football, you're playing, 17 games now. So it's a very limited supply of games. In basketball, you got 82 games. So after 40 or 50 games, there's not a lot going to change. The only thing you got to know is back-to-back games, 3 games in 4 nights. That's really it. So if Detroit plays at Cincinnati tonight and then they travel to Philadelphia tomorrow, then okay, what is that bet? Or are we just looking at over-unders and are they A teams or Z teams? And you can go from that. Yeah, the Cincinnati Royals, Oscar Robertson. So anyway, that's what we have. I need to get going another minute and we will go. And outside of that, so I'll try to come back on either right after or maybe I'll hit the pool at that point and go. I did a lot of stretching. My back, I told you, was really sore. It felt like a nerve. So I took some ibuprofen. And then I did like an hour of stretching in the pool, which really made me feel better. And like I said, when I first sat down, I was uncomfortable, but I took my ibuprofen and I had my avocado, and now I'm fine. I don't have pain when I sit. So I've been pain-free all day, so I'm getting better, hopefully. Anyway, have a great day and good luck. And, just, gold and silver is going up. Do what you can afford, and then we'll figure out the Super Bowl as we get closer. And we'll just keep an eye on injuries and things like that. Again, I don't know that I would bet it. I'm not really worried the over is going to go, to 55. This isn't college. This isn't UCLA. So I'm not really that concerned about it. And then we'll see if we can get Philly as the dog. Then we'll take Philly. That'll be the optimum bet. Otherwise, that's about it. Good luck, www.teaserking.com. You want to get my email, it's on the homepage. You can email me and we can talk. You got questions and comments. I have several people that customers that I will get emails and answer. Ask Nick. He does a lot. And outside of that, have a great day and stay relaxed. Do your fasting. Keep healthy. All right, everybody. Take care. Have a great day.